Hi, I'm Lorenzo Hogans II, paramedic and Christian author, and today's video topic is going to be Escapism is not the answer. I run countless calls. I'm talking call after call after call, and a percentage of them happen to be overdoses. Primarily overdoses on either beta blockers or narcotic overdoses such as heroin. And I got to tell you, I've been on calls where you give Narcan, which is an antidote to opiate narcotics, such as heroin. And I've been on calls where I wake them back up from their overdose, because what heroin does is it slows your respirations, and if we don't get there in time, the person can actually die. So it's a big deal. And I've ran many of these calls, and believe it or not, I've been on calls where the person woke up and was like, "What are you doing here?" And I'm like, "Excuse me? I'm a paramedic. I'm here to help you." "Well, I didn't call for your help. I didn't want your help. I wanted to die. I was ready to die. Why don't you just leave me alone?" And I'm going, "Huh? Okay." Anyways, at that point, obviously, I didn't just leave them alone after we give a drug, and they're going to be transported to the hospital and evaluated and stuff. It's something called implied consent, excuse me. So that kind of brings me into the subject of escapism, because sometimes escapism we use by way of drugs, alcohol, sometimes it's pornography. Whatever it may be, if it's unhealthy, it's not something that you need to be involved in. And I say this as an advocate because I want to see you grow, and I want to see you do well, and I want to see you be a winner. For the people that are addicted to drugs, it just stunts the growth. It stunts the productivity. And I think a lot of this is escapism. I think it starts out as escapism, a friendly, recreational weekend. Hey, let's do some weed. Let's do some mushrooms. Let's do acid even, Let's do some heroin. Let's do some cocaine. And what happens is it starts out as all fun and games, or maybe just a minor escape from a problem that has occurred. And I gotta tell you, I've seen it. All right, I've seen it. All right, so I want you to kind of be aware of that and not to fall into that trap. I mean, it's okay. Let me put it this way. Think of God as the coach, because after all, He created all of this, and you need to be that player on the bench who's on the bench right now and is ready to get back in the game. Coach, give me some pointers and get me back in the game. I want to win. Because that's what God is. He's our coach. He knows the pointers to give you. He knows your strength. And so the perfect example that I can come up with right now, off the top of my head, would be Muhammad Ali. I've watched interviews of Muhammad Ali where he was known to spend 5 hours of praying, 5 hours of, alone time with God, especially before, in his training days leading up to a big fight. And you see, he became the greatest boxer of all time. That saying might as well be trademarked by Muhammad Ali. It might be, but if it's not, it should be. I'm the greatest of all time. And how did he do that? Because he chose not escapism. Because you have to remember, Muhammad Ali, he was economically oppressed, just like a lot of people are, just like you may be. He was not by any means born with a silver spoon in his mouth. And I even remember him saying in another interview, I had to fight my way out. They asked him why to become a fighter. He said, because I had to. There was a lot of things that he was upset with, a lot of things in life that he was disappointed in. And so how did he handle it? He got coaching from his coach, his ultimate coach, God, asked for some pointers, and took the pointers. And, I'm sure he was asking God, what are my strengths? What can I do to get out of my situation? How can I provide value? And that's what I want for you. I think it's just such a crippling factor when people give up. It's like, I mentioned the player on the bench who's saying, "Get me in the game, coach. I want to, I want to score a goal. I want to do what I need to do to help the team." The opposite of that is being the kid on the football team who's afraid of going out there because they're lighting people up. People are getting crackback. People are getting, hit hard, and you want no part of the action. That should not be you, and that is not what I want for you. So, be the guy who wants to get out there and fight. Stand up, because either you're gonna be one of two individuals. Okay, you're gonna be the person that stands up and pushes life back, and doesn't allow life to push you out of your own space, or you're going to be the person that does allow that to happen. And so now let me just go ahead and say that I've had my trials and tribulations. I've tried out weed. I've tried out mushrooms. Okay, I was offered to try acid and a couple of other things, but that's where I drew the line in the sand. And so what happened in my experience is, especially with the mushrooms, you definitely will go on a trip now. And I'm not advertising, but I'm just saying, you will definitely go on a trip. But see, I'm the type of person where I'm all about a good time, but I'm not about losing control over my decisions and my functionality. I mean, it had me in the bed and I couldn't even really move. I literally had to army crawl to the bathroom, and it was just sad. Like, I remember laying there that night and thinking to myself, God, if I can get out of this, I'm never doing this again. That's just me. And because I like productivity, and that's what I want for you too. Escapism doesn't foster productivity. You look at that stack of bills over there and it's like, alright, I'm going to sleep. Or you had that unexpected kid and you're like, alright, I'm checking out. I'm checking out. People do it all the time, and I do not want that for you. I can't stress that enough. So, stand up in the paint, fight your battles, and take it from me. I've had my struggles. I've had my personal tribulations, and that's what brought me to write my first book, The Corridor That Lies Between Greatness and Insanity. And it's kind of a guidebook. It shows you a look into my personal struggles and what my antidote was for it. There was some wild thoughts that were going through my mind when I was down and out. But I chose to fight, and I chose to ask and call on God for strength. And He was there for me. He showed me my strengths, and He showed me a way out to do it, without going to jail, without losing my mind. So, life is hard. Hey, and join the club. Life is nothing but sand, someone or something kicking sand in your face time and time again. Now, the true measurement of a individual is how many times, what are you going to do about it? You going to finally put on those goggles so they can just keep kicking you in the face and you're fine? The sand can keep blowing you in the face and you're fine? Or are you just going to cry about it? So, stand up, people. I'm rooting for you, and God's rooting for you. So tap into that power like Muhammad Ali did, and don't turn to escapism, because it doesn't solve the problem. You can go to sleep. You can take as long of a nap as you want. Sleep on life if you want to, but your same problems are going to be there when you wake back up. So deal with it head on with the power of God and prayer, and show how you can. You can make you can make lemonade out of lemons. I love that saying, because if life hands you lemons, make lemonade with it somehow. You know, maybe you should write a book about how someone doesn't have to endure the same pain that you have. Make a YouTube video, maybe start some type of organization, a foundation. You know, if something treacherous happened to you that was traumatic, you know, turn your pain into a positive. All right? And that is all I have to say for today. I will see you on the next one.